got this one side tack welded, and then you can see it, I ground down all these welds flush. So I've got flat surface on that side, but now we're going to go ahead and screw it down and run beads on the other side. Now you notice these pieces here are just some masonite, and the only reason I put those on there is they elevate it above the surface of the particle board so we don't burn it quite so bad. It'll probably, actually it won't burn. What'll get burnt is the pieces of masonite. Oops, put that down just a little too tight. There we go. And what I'll do is put all four corners, get them all screwed down, and then come back and there we go. Get them kind of tight caddy corner. Thing move, screw down, or it won't move around on us. And then do the same little trick here. Screw this piece on so have some place to plant my ground. Put that on there. Find my gloves. These are actually TIG gloves, but I like them. They work good for the MIG welding. Gives you a good touch on the trigger. I like to kind of do things caddy corner when I do my welding. I'm not sure if the reason for that, other than I think it helps to balance some of the stresses that are going on inside the material, but I'm not sure if that's just my preference or if there's actually something scientific behind it. Okay, there we go. All nice and welded up. And I'll grind this side and then flip it over, weld the other side, and hopefully I'll have ourselves a base plate. I went ahead and welded the other side and ground both of them. This is the first side we welded. You can see the distortion and the penetration of weld on the other side. And this is the second side I welded. So now it's all nice and welded, and as you can see, it's still setting flat on all four corners on our build table here, which tells us we've got a nice flat square base. So anyhow, one down, two more like this to go, one that's a little bit bigger, and then we'll get on to building the tops. I got all the rest of the base plates welded up, as you can see, so those are done. Turned out really nice, actually, very square and flat, which is what we want. Next thing we're on to is trying to get these caps put together, and they're obviously a little bit different challenge. This is a lot thinner material. It's an 1/8 inch versus the 3/8 we use for the base plate. So I'm basically just going to lap weld these here at the top, and then later on when we put the corner pieces in, they'll get welded up here, across here, and then across. So, and it's going to have a really good connection eventually, but we need to get it welded in place obviously enough right now, so we can jig everything up and weld the vertical pieces to it, the base plate. So What I did here is I cut a couple pieces of oak. These are 3/4 by 3/4 by I think about 4 inches long. Just again some scrap. Putting drywall screws into the particle board. And what I actually did on the bottom side is I put a screw in here. If you look at the side, you can tell this is about 1/8 of an inch thick. And what it is a metal stud screw. And I wanted something to space it up off of the ground so that when we clamp it down, if you can see that, but the instead of being at an angle like that with a gap up here at the front, when it's screwed down, this one by will be parallel with the plane of the piece of angle iron. And what that keeps from happening is keeps the angle iron from wanting to tip up, from having pressure on the side and not in the middle. So anyhow, let me go ahead and clamp this down and get started. I've already clamped this one piece down, and what I'm going to do is take my framing square and square up the side pieces, clamp them down, then go across to the top, clamp it down, check everything for square, and then we'll weld away. I've got this bottom piece here clamped down, so I'm going to clamp the side piece on. And I've got my framing square up against it, and I've got it where I need it. Got that one locked in place. I'm going to repeat the process over here. Put the screw in for this one, so I'll go ahead and do that before we get started checking things here. Okay. Go ahead and line this up. Okay. The dry cut saw is really accurate. You'll see this in my review of it, and that's the nice thing about that. It really gets your tolerances tight for steel fabrication, a lot tighter than say you would have with your typical abrasive saw, which is nice. It makes laying stuff out like this great. Change the settings on the welder. We'll see how well they work. Haven't tried them out. Gave it my best guess. We'll see how lucky I am. And see if this thing welds up. I think I guessed pretty good. Okay. Other corners all tacked up. Go down on it. Go. A little bit smoky, but welded up. Got to do it 3 more times.